Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Diagramming English While Learning Latin. This is from First Year Latin by Robert Henle. Again, this is from Chapter 3, and this is Exercise 60. This is the last one in Chapter 3. In this one, we're going over really prepositions and their effects on third declension nouns. So let's take a look at this. Here we have the first one, in the name of the king. We're going to sort of diagram this. Well, actually, let's just parse it. We can't diagram it because we don't have a subject and a verb. So we have in, which is a preposition, in what, in the name, object of the preposition, of, which is a preposition, of king, which is the object of the preposition. In the name is in the ablative case because of the preposition in. Of the king is in the genitive case because of the preposition of. So in Latin, this would be, in the name, would be in nomine. This is from the Latin word nomen. Nomen is name in Latin. It's a neuter word. The genitive is nominis. And then we drop the genitive ending and replace it with the ablative e, and we end up with in nomine. And then king is rex in Latin, and in the nominative, and the genitive is regis, which is actually the word we are going to use here. In nomine regis. In nomine regis, in the name of the king. We just leave regis alone because regis means of the king. All right, here's another one. On the journey, on preposition, on what? Journey, object of the preposition. On the journey is in the ablative case. The word for journey is iter, and the genitive for journey is, there it is, in itineris. Sorry about that. In itineris, or itineris. Itineris is the genitive. To find the root, we simply drop the genitive ending and replace it with the ablative e, since we're on the journey, and this prepositional phrase then would be in itinere, on the journey. This is where we get English words like itinerary. Before you set out to go on a journey, you might sit down and take a good long look at the itinerary. In the mountains and in the hills, in preposition, in what? Mountains, object of the preposition, and also in the hills, another object of the preposition, and is a conjunction. These are article adjectives. We don't translate those in Latin. So we have in the mountains. Mountain is mons, and the genitive of mountain is montis. So the root word you find by dropping the genitive ending. The root word then is mont, and then we add the ablative ending to mont, and we end up with in, and it's got to be ablative plural, in montibus. Oh, it's ablative because of this preposition here. This whole prepositional phrase would go into the ablative case. So in montibus et, and then we could say in montibus et, and in the hills, or we could actually have the preposition. Let's leave the preposition out since we don't have the preposition in English. Let's leave the preposition out. It's going to be the same ending, same ablative plural ending. The word for hill is colis, and the genitive for hill is colis. So it's the same word. To find the root, we drop the genitive. So we have col, and we're going to add the same ablative ending to col. It will end up with in colibus. In multibus et in colibus, or in multibus et colibus. Probably, honestly, it would sound better in Latin to add the n here. In multibus et in colibus. Okay. With the leading men of the tribes, with preposition, with whom, leading men, object of the preposition. Actually, the men is the objective of the preposition, and in English, leading would be a participle describing men. It's a verb that is used as an adjective, so it's a present participle. It's describing the men, but Latin has a word for leading men, so we'll just go with that. Of is a preposition. Also, of what? Of tribes, object of the preposition. Of the tribes, the whole thing goes into the genitive case because of. And with the leading men, the whole thing goes into the ablative case because of with. Okay, so if we were to translate this into Latin, we'd have cum principibus, principibus. So there is the ablative plural ending. And here's our root word, princip, from principes, cum principibus, with the leading men of the tribes. Tribes is gens in Latin. The root word we find by dropping the genitive ending. The genitive is gentis. We drop the genitive ending, and we're left with the root word gent. It is a I stem noun, so we're going to have an I in front of the genitive plural. So, cum principibus gentium, with the leading men of the tribes. They see the light of the world. This one we actually can diagram because we have a subject and a verb. They, subject of the sentence, nominative case. What do? They see. Verb, what do they see? They see the light, direct object. Accusative case. Of, preposition, of whom, or of what. World, object of the preposition. Of the world, prepositional phrase, genitive case. The, article adjective, the, article adjective. Okay. They see the light of world. They see the light of the world. And in Latin, this would be, we're going to put the verb at the end, so let's actually start with the direct object. Lux is light, but in the genitive, in the accusative singular, it's lucem. Okay, now we have the light. Let's have of the world. Let's get of the world. Mundum is world in Latin, but in the genitive it'd be mundi. So lucem mundi. Lucem mundi. Now all we need is they see, which is pretty easy. It's present tense. Vident. Vident, from the verb videre, which means to see. So lucem mundi vident. Lucem mundi vident. On account of the courage of the soldier, another fragment. This is not a sentence, so we can't diagram this. We have on, preposition, on what, on account, object of the preposition, of, preposition, on account of what, the courage, object of the preposition, of the soldier. By the way, this would be in the genitive case. It's not going to be, and this would be in the ablative case. It's not going to be when we translate this into Latin for, because of the reason that on account of is a particular word. It's a particular preposition in Latin. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Of the soldier. Of is a preposition. Soldier is object of the preposition, and the whole thing is in the genitive case. Okay, so we were talking just moments ago about on account of. It's its own preposition in Latin. Propter means on account of. And it pushes the next word. It's a preposition. It pushes the next word into the accusative case. So on account of the courage. So courage in Latin is virtus, and in its accusative form, the next word, I think I said, was in the accusative case. There it is right there. In its accusative form, it is virtutem. There's the accusative singular ending again. So propter virtutem, on account of the courage. This is in the accusative case because of this preposition propter. And then of the soldier would be militis. Of the soldier, from the Latin word miles. Miles means soldier, and then the genitive is militis. So, propter virtutem militis, on account of the courage of the soldier. He praises the virtues of the Christians, subject of the sentence. He, subject pronoun, nominative case. What's he doing? He's praising, verb, he's praising what? Virtues, direct object, accusative case. Of, preposition, of whom? Christians, object of the preposition, of the Christians, prepositional phrase, genitive case. The is an article adjective, the is an article adjective. We're actually not, you know what, let's diagram this first, and then I'll say that we were actually not going to use the preposition when we translate. He praises, we have a direct object, so we put it on the main line after a stick, a straight stick. He praises virtues. He praises the virtues of the Christians. We're going to do that to shorten it up. Of the Christians. He praises the virtues of the Christians. Okay, so now we just have to translate this into Latin. It's pretty wordy in English. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words. In Latin, it's only going to be 3 words. And we'll start with virtues. Virtutes, we had this in the last one, only we had 1 virtue, so it was virtutem. Now we have virtutes, it's plural virtues. To say of the Christians, we write Christiani, which is Christians. However, shouldn't have dotted all those I's, we're going to eliminate the last I and replace it with the genitive plural ending, Christianorum. This is the genitive plural second declension ending, Christianorum. And then all we need is he praises. And this is in the present tense, so it's pretty simple. Laudat. He praises the virtues, virtutis, Christianorum. In peace and in war. In preposition, in what? Peace, object of the preposition. And is a conjunction. In preposition, in what? War, object of the preposition. And we're talking about something that is simply in. So in Latin, if you are in a location, so this dot is in the box, then it's in plus the ablative. So in peace, ablative case. In war, ablative case. This is a fragment. This is not a sentence, so we're just going to straight up translate this one. In is, of course, in. Pax is peace, and the genitive is pacis. So all we need to do is drop the genitive ending and replace it with the ablative ending, which would be e. So here we have in pace, in peace. Et is pretty easy. Bellum is war. In the genitive, it's belli. And in the ablative, it is bello. So, in pace et in bello. In pace et in bello. He heard the voice of the general. He is subject of the sentence. It's a subject pronoun, nominative case. He what? He heard, verb. He heard what? He heard voice, direct object. Accusative case, of preposition, of whom, general, object of the preposition, of the general prepositional phrase, genitive case, the article adjective, we don't need those, not when we're translating into Latin anyway. He heard what? He heard the voice, and he heard the voice of whom? Of general, object of the preposition, the general. He heard the voice of the general. Once again, when we translate this into Latin, we won't have quite as many words. Let's start with voice. Voice is vox, and in the genitive vocis. So vocem, because it's accusative, he heard the voice. So we have voice. Now we need of the general. Imperator is general. Imperator. Imperator. To make it genitive, we add is, and that's actually what we need in this sentence, because we have vocem imperatoris, the voice of the general we have now. All we need at this point is he heard. This is in the perfect tense or the past tense, so it will end with a V before the ending, and we have vocem imperatoris audivit. He heard. Audivit vocem imperatores. Vocem imperatores audivit. They killed part of the enemy. Subject of the sentence, they, subject pronoun, nominative case. What are they doing? They're killing, verb, or they did kill. What did they kill? They killed part. Direct object, accusative case, and they killed part of, preposition of whom? Of the enemy, object of the preposition, genitive case. Article adjective. They, on the subject side, killed on the verb side. They killed part. Direct object, accusative case. They killed part what? Of enemy. They killed part of the enemy. All right. And in Latin, let's start with part. We'll start with the direct object. Pars in Latin is part. The genitive is partis. So to say they killed part, that's going to be accusative singular. It's going to end with em. It's third declension, so it's going to end with em. So partem. Now we just need of the enemy. Hostis is enemy. Hostis is enemy in the nominative, and hostis is enemy in the genitive. Usually when these two match, that tells you it's an I stem noun, which means that you put an I before the plural genitive ending, which is what we have here. So, partem hostium, and now all we need is they killed. This is in the past tense, perfect tense in Latin, occiderunt. Occiderunt. We have nt because it's plural. They killed part of the enemy. A lot of gruesome sentences in Professor Henle's book. They praise the laws of the tribe, subject of the sentence, subject pronoun, nominative case. What are they doing? Verb, they're praising. They're praising what? They're praising laws, direct object, accusative case. Which laws? The laws of preposition. Of what? Tribe, object of the preposition. They praise the laws of the tribe. Of the tribe is in the genitive case, article adjective. Subject of the sentence. You know what, let's skip that and let's kind of go in a backwards format since we're not translating the subject pronouns. So we'll start with laws. Lex is law in Latin. The genitive is legis. Or legis, which is where we get, of course, legislate, legislature. We drop the genitive ending, and we are going to replace it with the accusative plural ending, which is es. Okay, so we have leges. Leges of the tribe. We've already talked about gens. Gens is tribe. We're going to make this of the tribe. And it's just one tribe, so gentis. And then we have a present tense verb. They praise, laudant. They praise the laws of the tribe. Laudant, leges gentis. Or leges gentis laudant. Okay, we keep going. Caesar gave rewards to the soldiers. Caesar, subject of the sentence, nominative case. What's he doing? Or what did he do? He gave, perfect tense. He gave what? He gave rewards, direct object, accusative case. He gave rewards to, preposition to whom? Soldiers, object of the preposition to the soldiers, prepositional phrase. Now check this out. These guys are actually receiving the direct object. And Caesar is giving. Those are clues that we're going to have a dative indirect object here. And sure enough, soldiers are going to be in the dative case because they are indirect objects. Okay, so here we go. First let's diagram this, sorry. Caesar gave, he gave rewards. Who got the rewards? He gave them to, and we leave a little tail there at the end for indirect objects. He gave them to soldiers. Otherwise it looks just like a prepositional phrase. Line to the soldiers. Caesar gave rewards to the soldiers. Okay, and in Latin, Caesar. Let's see, which direction do we want to go? Caesar, let's go with the rewards next. Premia. Premia. The word for rewards is premium or premium, but since this is plural and accusative, we go with premia. Caesar premia. Now, to the soldiers, miles is soldier. In the genitive, militis is of the soldier, and we are going to drop the genitive ending and add the dative plural ending, which is ibus. So we will end up with militibus. So Caesar premia militibus, and then he gave, in the perfect tense, is dedit. Caesar premia militibus dedit. Caesar premia militibus dedit. Alright, that's it. If you want to see more videos like this, go check out DwaneThomas.com. You can find it by just clicking on that link right there that I've circled, that card up in the left top right hand corner. Don't forget to subscribe below, and I will see you guys next time.